When I was 19 years old, I had to make a choice. Do I follow my intuition? Do I follow that inner call? Knowing that everything would change. I had to leave everything behind. My girlfriend, my band, my family, my friends, the entire path that was laid out in front of me. I had to leave it all behind if I followed that inner call that told me to go in a completely different direction. So I had to make a choice. Do I follow my mind that always wants to go back to that which is safe and familiar? Or do I really step into the unknown? Do I put myself out there and do I follow that deeper inner calling that I had in February 2012 when I was 19 years old on a calm winter evening? Because you have to understand something, that the difference between an extraordinary life and a normal life is to what extent you have realized and tapped into your own intuition. The difference between us and artificial intelligence is that we can tap into this higher divine energy that is expressed through us and really make the most of that divine intuition, that we can have a higher destiny that we can follow, that we are not just robots that have to function. Because let's be honest, this is what happens to most people. And it happens to me regularly, where I get stuck with my mind that always goes back to that which is familiar. Because that's how our mind defines safety. Our mind always looks for safety, and our mind finds that safety in that which is familiar, that which is known, that which we have experienced for so many lifetimes, and also in this particular lifetime. Therefore, I say this again and again. The person that grew up in a toxic relationship with their parents, with their family, the toxic childhood, when you grow up, you will choose a partner that makes you experience that toxic consciousness again, because your mind has defined toxicity as safety. Therefore, the addict has such a hard time to change, because the mind has defined the addiction as something that is familiar and as something that gives us safety. So following your intuition means you have to break free from all of this. It means you have to go beyond all of these different types of conditionings. And this is something that I really want to share with you in this particular video, because on that particular day, when everything would change for me forever, I went with my father to a university to take a look at what I'm going to do in the future. I was supposed to be a musician. I was supposed to study bass guitar and normal guitar and learn how to make a wonderful band that can have success. It is a very special academy in Germany, in Mannheim, where people teach you how to be a successful musician. And I had decided that I wanted to go ahead and follow this particular path. I had been interested in becoming a teacher and a marine biologist, even in psychology. But I decided to go for that because I thought musicians are, after all, the most happiest people that I know. So I went with my father there, and he was like, okay, son, this is what you want to do. This is where your heart is at. I think it's amazing. I'm really proud of you that you decide to follow this call and to do this. And it was a very special father-son moment that we had together on the way back from the university. And he dropped me at this bar where my friend was celebrating his birthday. And actually, not even 24 hours later, I had to break his heart. Not just 24 hours later, after we had had such a beautiful moment with each other, I had to go there and tell him, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to study. I'm going to do something completely different. And of course, it somewhat broke his heart. Now, what you have to understand is, when you follow your intuition, when you follow that deeper inner call, the people around you will often not really respond nicely. Now, why is that? Because people see you as part of their own identity, their own ego that they have formed. For example, I identify myself as Simon, but also as Simon, the husband of my wife. It has become someone part of my identity. So the different people in your life, they see you and you reflect into their own identity and ego. You are what makes up how they see the world. It makes a lot of sense, right? The people that are in your life, your friends, your family, the people that you meet, the people that you spend the most time with, they influence you and they form your identity and ego. Now, if you break free from that, if you take that step out of their world, then of course they're going to be shocked because a part of their identity is leaving. And even when we look into crimes, most crimes happen actually in close family constellations, where one person wants to leave a relationship and then the person wants to kill sometimes that person because they can't take it, because that relationship has become such a part of their identity that that person leaving means that they don't know anymore who they are. So they rather kill that person than seeing that person with someone else and going through that pain. You have to imagine how strong these attachments are in life. And one thing that always kills intuition, it is fear and attachment. Fear and attachment always kill your intuition. Because if you're very attached to something, you're not going to get a clear vision about it. If you're very afraid, if you're very attached, it is going to block you moving forward. So just take this as one important lesson of finding your intuition. So like I said, going back to the story, my father had just dropped me off at that bar. It's a small round, good friends from school that I know. Actually, the guitar player of our band that we had at the time, he was celebrating his birthday. And I was sitting there ordering something to drink, and then I went outside completely sober to smoke a cigarette. So I went there, no one was there. Winter evening, calm, beautiful skyline because it's a small town, so when there are no clouds, it's very clear. I was standing there, lighting my cigarette, looking up and thinking, wow, I feel so small right now looking into the sky. And suddenly something completely shook me from within. I dropped my cigarette and suddenly something, and I believe it was the divine, took me out of my identity, and I was suddenly really deeply feeling all of the important questions that I've asked myself in this life. Who am I? What is the meaning of life? What is happiness? What is time? What is this universe? Are there more than just one universes? What is the deeper meaning of all of this? How can I be happy? Why are so many people suffering? Is there a God? What is reality? How do I know that what I see is all there is? All these questions that I had always asked myself in life, they all came to me with an intensity that I almost could not take it. I was really like shaken. Something was vibrating in me. Something was calling me. And I was really like confused and amazed, and I was inspired. So many different emotions were going on as this was happening. And then as quickly as it had come, it left me. And all I know was, I have to leave. I have to travel. I have to go away from here. I need to find an answer to these questions. I cannot make peace with my life if I just go now back into the bar, have my beer, spend time with my friends, become a musician. If I don't find the answers to these questions, then I cannot be a happy person. And we all get these calls sometimes in life. In the beginning, it's very loud, and then it becomes more quiet and quiet and quiet. The voice of our intuition is always there, but we just decide not to listen to it. Because we can basically make a choice. There are 3 different paths that we can take in this particular lifetime. 1, the victim and the controller. 2, the creative path and destiny. 3, the higher self. Victim and controller means the victim state. I cannot live the life that I want to live because of my health, because I don't have enough money, because of my ex, because of my partner, because of the country I'm in. It's the victim consciousness. I cannot do what I want to do because of something outside of me. So now I'm a victim of that which is outside of me. The controller is actually very similar. The controller just decides, everything depends on me. I have to control everything in my life. And I have to make sure that everything is exactly how I want it to be. It's all about me, I, and mine. And they really live from this point of stress and trauma and not from a genuine expression of their heart. And such people can become very narcissistic and abusive. And the victim consciousness and the narcissistic consciousness, they always find each other. So that's one path that you can choose in life. The other path is the creative path that is really expressed from the heart. And I always love this example of Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury said that he always knew that he was a performer. He always knew that he was here on this earth to give pleasure to people through his music, through his singing. And he didn't know how to do anything else. And he just followed that call. And this is the second type of destiny that you can have in this life. You just are what you are, and you just follow this calling. You just fulfill this purpose. And many times, people like Freddie Mercury, they already built this up over many lifetimes. That following that calling, following that desire that they have to be a musician, to reach out to millions of people. And then in this lifetime, it happens. And it looks like, oh, you know, he was always like that. Yes, but there's a history that you don't see. So you definitely have to make sure that you come in this creative space and you follow that inner revelation, which he did many times. Therefore, he wrote so many amazing songs. Even Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, had this inner intuition about what he wanted to do. So if you want to live an extraordinary life, at least come to that second stage of being in this creative state. And if you want help with that, I have the Akashic Astrology reading, which is really designed to help people to understand their higher destiny in this life. It's really designed to help you to reconnect with your own intuitive powers, your healing gifts, and your higher destiny. It's not just me telling you, it's you experiencing that. So take advantage of that. Coming now to the third type of destiny that you can have, and this is an entirely spiritual destiny where you follow that higher calling of your soul. You follow that higher divine revelation from within, and you make it a main purpose and focus in your life to live a very spiritual life, a life that is in alignment with your soul. It's the most challenging type of destiny because you constantly have to let go. You constantly have to let go of different identities, of past emotions, of people, of situations, because your vibration starts to get higher and higher and higher. You connect with people and teachers that have a higher vibration. And so just like, you know, an onion has different shells, they all have to be peeled off until the pure essence of you is left. So we have these three different types of revelations that we can have, and only the second and third type, the creative destiny, and the third type, the sattvic in yoga destiny, or the higher spiritual destiny, is that which will allow you to experience regular intuition in your life. Okay? Now coming back to the story, I went back inside and I spoke to my friends, and I realized I was still in that high vibration. It was like I took some substance or something, you know, but I was completely sober. They thought I'm totally crazy. I was coming there. What's the meaning of life? What's reality? What's time? Is it not all relative? And there was a person that had already studied 2 semesters of mathematics. Although he was still going to school, he was very intelligent. He said, right, ultimately, it's all relative. And I was like freaking out. Actually, we don't know anything. I don't know anything about myself, about life, about the nature of this world, about the nature of this universe. So I decided at that moment, I'm going to travel. The next day, I went to my parents and I had to break their heart and tell them, I'm not going to study, I'm going to work, and I'm going to pack my stuff, leave and travel. They were shocked. We're standing in the kitchen, they were looking at me, and I could really see in their eyes, they gave up. They knew that I would always live this unpredictable life. They had some hope that I would give up this inner call, that I would give up that inner inspiration to travel, but I didn't. I actually found myself a job in a fast food restaurant and made me into a vegetarian. And then I booked a flight to Kathmandu because I wanted to explore Buddhism and then Hinduism in India. And it actually turned me into a monk. And if I would have decided, and we always have this free will, if I would have decided not to follow that inner call, I would have not become a monk. I would have never met the people that I know now, and I would not live the life that I'm living now, that I very much love and appreciate. So don't think that you don't have an intuition. It's about learning to move beyond the fears and attachment. I've created a wonderful inner child healing meditation that you find in the description box of this video, and it can really help you to bring yourself back to that more pure essence of who you are. Because you have to understand, ultimately, the true deeper intuition comes from your soul. It can manifest in your body, it can manifest through astral visions, it can manifest as the higher cosmic intelligence that can move beyond linear time, but ultimately it's a divine expression from within yourself. And if you want to start on this journey of finding your intuition, then download this inner child meditation. It will bring you back to yourself, to your own heart, and when you can connect to your heart, you have the most amazing guide, because your heart can always guide you in any type of situation. Not the emotional heart, the higher, deeper spiritual heart. Because the heart, when you connect to that still, blissful, open heart, you can feel into any person, any future decision. And you can see, does my heart become more light, more open, more joyful? Or does it contract? Does it close? Does it get heavy? But it takes a lot of practice, a lot of time and practice to follow your intuition. And again, don't think that following your intuition means that it's going to be an easy path and that you always get what you want. No, following your intuition means you have to face all your fears, all your discomforts, and you're going to be tested if you're ready for that higher soul identity, or if you still want to go back living like a victim, living like someone that feels like they need to control everything from their rational mind. Okay? And one more last thing I want to tell you is that people actually don't want you to use your intuition, because a person that lives from their intuition, they cannot be controlled. Politicians, the media, religion, they don't want you to use your intuition. They want you to follow them. But right now on this planet, we need people that really follow their intuition, that follow their inner calling. Because it all started, you know, with the age of enlightenment and reasoning, the Industrial Revolution. So much became covered. Organized religion. People started to tell you, listen to these books, just listen to science, just listen to whatever your rational mind can conceive of. No. We are so much more than our physical body, our rational mind, and it is that intuition that really makes the difference between a normal robotic life and an extraordinary life. So don't think everyone is going to cheer you on when you follow your intuition. But trust me, following your intuition is the best choice that you can make, because life is going to be magic, life is going to be mystical, and you're going to meet people and experience things that you would have never done otherwise. Okay? If you want to learn how to go deeper into this intuition, just stay connected to this channel. I will make more videos about it. I have different offerings that you can use that will help you to go into your own intuition, and at least download the Inner Child Healing Meditation. Trust me, it's really powerful. I wish you all the best. I'm so happy that we can create this community together, come all together, share our hearts with each other, and go deeper into our spiritual life. All the best to you. Radhe Shyam.